Tax Talk with Jay is brought to you by Jay Chambers Tax and Business Consult. We are currently offering a comprehensive tax course to all taxpayers. Check us out at jchambersconsult.services to see what we have to offer. Enter the code PODCAST for a 20% discount on all courses until the end of open enrollment. Hello, and welcome to Tax Talk with Jay, where we give information and news to enhance and encourage the community to be more informed about their personal and business tax liabilities, as well as how to reduce them. This is a year-round discussion, so sit back and enjoy Tax Talk with Jay. Make sure you check us out at jchambersconsult.services for a recap of the things we cover here. And to get to those links, have a great day. Hello, episode 1. Yes, I am happy to be here, guys. Thank you for joining us. So, today on Tax Talk with Jay, we are talking about leaving wealth and not taxes. That's what we want to talk about today, guys. Okay, leave wealth and not taxes. So, let me drop a quick tax scenario on you, okay? You have a relative has left you $60,000 in assets after passing this year. You've been named a personal representative. For those of you that don't know who that is or what that is, when someone names you, when they leave you things, you are their successor, whether you are a wife, a husband, anything of that nature. When you get left something, you are the personal representative, okay? As you begin to get their paperwork together so that you can dissolve said assets, you notice a few things. So you're going through the bill book and you notice that they got some bills from the IRS. Well, not bills, but notices saying that they haven't filed taxes. You look around and you realize they did not file taxes for 21 or 2022. When you inquire with other family members on why that did not happen, they explain that the family member could not get a W-2 from their employer during that time, and anytime they asked for it, they were made to feel small and that they should have already known this information. So they decided not to file. Now, you have to take care of this because now all of everything that they had has been assigned to you. So legally, this is now your responsibility. What do you do? That's a very good question. And so we're going to answer that question here. We're going to answer about how to be proactive, what to do, what forms do we need to go to for guidance if we're already in that situation, and most importantly, what this has to do with the comprehensive tax course. What on earth does this have to do with it, okay? Let's start off by saying this is why you need a comprehensive tax course. Let's start out by saying that. If you ever get into a situation like this, there are so many things that you can do, but a comprehensive tax course is going to point you in the right direction so that you know what you can do or where to go to get that information, okay? But we'll jump on the comprehensive tax course thing in a minute. I want to talk about this scenario real quick, okay? So some of you may say, well, this information is irrelevant to me, but is it really? Is it really? Who is tomorrow promised to? You? Me? Anybody? Okay. You have children. Some of your children are grown. Do you really want to leave this debt on them? Okay, something to think about. So let's be proactive so your children will not have to be reactive. Okay, there we go. Keywords here. Now, let's talk about this. Because we have a lot of people, my condolences, you want to show empathy to people, there's grief going on. The last thing you want to do is deal with a tax bill. That's the last thing you want to do. So the first piece of information that I want to prepare you for is if you have a loved one that has passed away and you have to use your money to bury them or for anything else, for any death purposes, that is something that you can write off on your taxes. So you need to talk to your tax professional about that, or go sit down on the IRS website and get that information. Now, the IRS website does offer free filing for people that made less than $60,000. I want to say less than people that made a certain amount. I don't want to quote the wrong number here. Let me go ahead and pull that up. But they offered the free file. Now, do they have that now? No, it's after April 18th, guys. But normally during the tax year, they do offer free filing services. And that means like there's actual tax preparers that you can speak to that will help you for free. I need y'all to stop being so afraid. So every tax year, you're afraid to call the IRS. You want a tax preparer to help you. You need more help. Baby, go to irs.gov. irs.gov for people who made a certain amount of money for a certain AGI or below. They will do your taxes for you or do your taxes along with you so that you can get an understanding. And this is free. This is free. I was preaching this during tax season. I'm going to preach this every year that it's available because people want information. They need help, but sometimes they can't afford to pay people like me or my coworkers. And that's okay. That's okay. But what's right, the right thing to do is for me to tell you, hey, there's free service out there for you, and this is where you go to get it, okay? So with that being said, since we're talking about the IRS, let's talk about the IRS website, okay? IRS.gov. Now, guys, you get 2 different checks if you get a refund from the IRS. So you should know that there are 2 different places for you to look at your tax information. All right. So we got IRS.gov. Don't you Google it. Don't you go nowhere else. IRS.gov is where you're going to go to get federal tax information. If you are in a state that collects state income taxes, then you will go to that state website, okay? But 2 different places where you pay, 2 different places where you get paid, 2 different tax websites. Why is it important for you to know this information? Because if you ever get to a point where you have to pay them, the reason that you fall into penalty after April 18th is because you have all year to pay. That's what the websites are for. It's coming together for you now, ain't it? Okay. So, we go through and we're looking at all of this and we're looking at all of this information and we still feel so overwhelmed. We don't understand all the words that are being thrown at us. That's okay. That's okay. Now, you can sit down with an IRS representative. You can sit down during tax season and speak to someone about what you've read, or you can take a course. Now, I want y'all to know in the beginning, ain't no gatekeeping over here, baby. I'm going to give y'all the information I got, okay? Because it's not about the information, it's about the application. And if you're not going to apply the information that I give you, you don't have to worry about anything, right? All right. So with that being said, when I went for my tax certification, I went through Intuit Academy because it was free. It was on the free ski and I was broke. So with Intuit Academy, they do your level 1, level 2 for small business and real estate. And then they also have a bookkeeping course. Yes, did it all because why not? Well, it was free. But the things that I noticed when I took these courses is that they didn't offer any help. Like when I got to things that I didn't understand, who was I supposed to call for them to explain it to me? I couldn't raise my hand. So I ended up, that's why I opened up my own course because I felt like if I was going to tell people to go get a tax certification, I needed to be able to provide them with a go-to, something that they could do. So, and give them the support they needed while they took the course. Okay. So had you taken a comprehensive tax course, then you would have known about the IRS website. You would have known about that liability. You probably would have had those taxes filed, and you would have also known that you can get your W-2 without going to your employer. All right. Which brings us to topic 2. To the second portion of what we're going through. But before we get there, got a message from our sponsors. Hello, Tax Talk with Jay is brought to you by Jay Chambers Tax and Business Consult. If you decide that you are on Amazon and want to spend a little extra money, we currently have our ebook for becoming a tax professional, and the planner workbook is there as well. So check us out there. If you decide that you want to jump on that $7 special for the ebook, go to jchambersconsult.services and click on the book and you'll be able to purchase that for $7. That's just the ebook. It is not the hardcover. It's just the ebook. So it does not include the planner or the workbook. It's just the actual book for $7. And it is virtual. So thank you so much and have a wonderful day. from J Chambers Tax and Business Consult Services. Okay, so thanks for the message from the sponsors. Make sure you guys jump in on that $7 special because it's going to end soon. To all of you that decide that you want to be a tax preparer, please make sure you check that book out. And the reason for that is because there were so many things that I did not know jumping into the game. And so now that I've gone through some of those things, I wanted to make sure that I made that process a little bit easier, especially for the students. So thank you so much for that. Now, let's talk prevention first. Okay, guys, let's talk prevention. So, if you know you're going to be named a personal representative for someone, key things you need to check for. Of course, we talked about the IRS website. When you go on this website, you're going to be able to find out if we got any missing returns, right? Along with be able to find out if we got any missing returns. If we have missing returns that we did not file, we're going to go to the Social Security website. Yes, the Social Security website, because if you're a W-2 recipient, your employer has to report your earnings to them before they report them to the IRS. So go log into the Social Security website. So you're like, oh my gosh, I don't have an account there. Guess what? When you went through the ID Me setup on the IRS website, because you did what I told you to do, all right, you can use that on the Social Security website as well, because they're government agencies. They're linked not with your information, but with your login information when you use ID Me. So definitely look into that. Once you create one for one government website, they usually work on most of them. So just make sure that you look into that. So you may not even have to create a login for the IRS website or your local state income tax website, because you may already have an ID Me login. Okay. And just a word to the wise. If you go to create this login and they tell you that you got to be verified by somebody, continue. It's really quick. It's a virtual call. They come in like less than 5 minutes, probably less than that. Now the tax season is over. Don't whip out. Okay. Just go and create it and you'll see the wonders you can see. Now, if you don't have the information that you need, like let's say you go into the IRS website and you realize we are missing tax returns. Okay. We're going to that Social Security website. And so these are things you can do right now. These are not things you have to wait until people pass away to do. You can go sit down with your parents, create this ID Me account, go into there and make sure they're good. What is the lifespan of a tax return? Tax returns don't really have like a actual expiration date, but the IRS usually goes back when you're audited between the first 2 to 3 years. And they go back to 6 to 7 if they have cause, if they got a reason. If they don't have a reason, then it's usually 2 to 3 years for the audit. So with that being said, you want to keep your tax returns for at least the next 7 years. So when you go help your parents, go back 7 years, the 6 to 7 years, to make sure they got everything. Okay. That's just good advice for where to start. If you're trying to figure out where to start when you log into those websites, then that's a good place to start. And if they don't have the federal return, there's a very good chance they don't have the state. Okay. Make sure you check both. But if there's no federal, then there's no state. So that's how we get proactive in this. And that's how we get ahead of the game, so that this doesn't come back and end up being a bill for us in our moment of grief. Because that's not what we need. Okay. Now, what about the employer? What about the employer? Are we going to report them, boo? We are most definitely going to report the employer. We're not playing with them. No, they just messed up our money. We are going to report the employer. So what do you do and how do you report them? You go to the IRS website. All right. You go to the IRS website. Once again, IRS website. And let's see, not getting W-2. Okay. So what you're going to do, and you don't even have to go to the IRS website if you don't want to. You're going to call 800-829-1040. Make an appointment, visit a taxpayer assistance center, because there are some of those. I didn't know if y'all knew that there were taxpayer assistance centers, but there are. All right. But you can call that number. Now, when you do that and you go get help and you call the IRS, The IRS is going to send your employer a letter requesting that they furnish you a corrected W-2 within 10 days. 10 days, baby. They're not about to play with you. The IRS is going to let them know they got 10 days to send you what you need. That means you may get a certified letter. That means you might need to be home to do what you need to do. But I'm letting you know the IRS is going to give them 10 days, all right? Depending on the time of year, the IRS may have federal wage information in the form of a wage transcript. So just make sure you check on that because there are wage transcripts available on the IRS website. Okay. Now, so that's what we do. That's what we are doing. If not, we are going to report them. What are we doing, guys? We are reporting the employers that do not give us our W-2s on time because that's our money. They messing with our money. Okay. And we're going to familiarize ourselves with our local and our state websites. You can pay taxes year round. I need you to understand that you can pay taxes year round because that's why after April 18th you get charged a fine. Okay, so you can pay taxes year round. So that's why I say like in our next episode next Wednesday we're gonna talk about budgeting because if you paid the IRS back this year and taxes is not included in your budget, then you're not really budgeting because why? Why would you shoot yourself in the foot like that? Exactly. If you had to pay the IRS this year, you did not update your W-4 and you were not paying anything out of your check previously. Yeah, why? Why are you doing this to yourself? There are so many things that you could do. If you were on your job, all this time, a W-4 is not something you have to go to Human Resources and get. It's something that you can get off the IRS website. Yes, you can get it off the IRS website. The IRS is the federal one with irs.gov. It's amazing. It is amazing, okay? So, I'm going to tell you what to look up when you go to the IRS website, okay? So, when you go to the IRS website, you are going to go to the little box up there at the top, the search bar. And when you search for this form, it's going to be your form W-4, okay? FW4.pdf is the name of the form. FW4.pdf is the name of the form. Make sure it says 2023. Let me see which one the current form is. Yeah, make sure it says 2023. Don't pull an old form or Human Resources is going to turn you around, okay? Or they're going to have to print one and you're going to have to fill it out and they may not have the same information, okay? If you need help filling out that W-4 form, check out the website tomorrow. We'll have a link to to the company that we use to process our commercial tax returns. So we'll have a link there for you to create and print out a new W-4. Is that going to make you my client? Nope. Is that going to give me your information? Nope. It's just a regular website, Tax Act, just like TurboTax, when they're trying to help you update a form. So Tax Act, you'll go there, you'll click, it'll help you update your W-4. If you have to pay the IRS, I suggest you update your withholdings when they ask you how much money you want to take out. But we'll talk about that more next Wednesday, okay? So don't want to get too far off course or go down the bunny trails, okay, guys? So want to make sure those past due taxes are paid. We're gonna make sure we familiarize ourselves with the federal and state IRS websites. We're going to make sure that we have those W-2s. We're going to report those employers, okay? So that's how we stay proactive. Now, what do you do if you're already in this situation? So, what are we doing if we're already in this situation? We are going to go to the irs.gov website and we're going to look for publication 559. Now, when publication 559 comes up in that search bar, you are going to, it's going to say about publication 559. Click that, click. Why are we clicking that? Because it's going to give us a lot of options. Now, what if you had a hard time and you didn't file the taxes of the deceased in 2021 like you were supposed to? You dealing with it. You've been in a low place. That's fine. We are going to go to go to the option for previous forms, because their forms are updated every year. So you need the instructions for the proper year that you are filing. So first things first, make sure you got the proper year. Then you're going to open up 2022, because that's the most updated version. And it's called Survivors, Executors, and Administrators, for publication 559. Now, with that being said, when we look over this publication, it's going to give you all the information you need on what steps to take after you're named personal representative, executor, so on. One key thing to remember, you have to mark the person that's deceased when you file that return, okay? That's how the IRS knows. The court paperwork that you got and you marking that person that's deceased is how how the IRS is going to know that they have passed, okay? So make sure you do that for my DIYers that are going to file, okay? Along with that, we already know that they update this every year. Something else that I wanted to point out to you guys is tax laws change every year. Forms change every year. 1040s change every year. Things change. So with that being said, make sure that when you are filing, you are getting the proper forms. They're up to date. Blah, blah, blah. Yakety smackety. Now, with all of this being said, let me ask you, if somebody in your family had proper tax education, would this have happened? Exactly. No. So this is what we need to do. This is my goal. So, as I said in my intro, I guess you could say the written one for this is I'll always talk about money and I'll always talk about taxes, but I'll never miss the opportunity to talk about God. And so this is what I see. This is not, I can't sit back and believe that this is what he wants for you. I have to believe that there's a time for change. And so the same way that you make it mandatory for your children to take a driving course, or you make it mandatory for your children to take any kind of course, I think that once they become of age, a tax course is required, because we need to break this chain. This is a generational curse for the ages, baby. How you don't know your personal tax liability? And I'm not just talking about what you had to pay when they finished doing your taxes. I'm talking about what you're responsible for the entire year based on the amount of money you make. And baby, it changes. It changes. Okay. You may not be in the same tax bracket you were when you first started that job. And so it's very important that we look at these things and we get an understanding of these things so we can keep track of them, because you never know when your last day on this earth is going to be. But the IRS going to always know how much money you owe them, and they're going to get it by any means necessary. Why put yourself in that position? Why? Exactly. That's not what we're doing. It's not what we're doing. Okay. So we're going to make sure that we stay diligent, and we're going to look through. Now, let me ask you, you feel like you got a good bit of information here? I know. I enjoyed it myself. Okay. So next week, we're going to come back. We're going to bring some pencil and paper, and we're going to talk about, are you really budgeting? Because we're going to talk about those W-4s. We're going to talk about how to update them. We're going to talk about where to go get the forms. We are going to talk about HSA, 401k, IRA. We are talking budgets, realistic budgeting, man. I'm not talking about the fake stuff. My card payment is $280 a month, and my car insurance. And if I put all my core bills here, I'll be okay. No, I want to know how many bottles of wine you drink a week. Oh yeah, I want to know how often do you go out to eat. Oh, I want to know the real deep down money spending things that you deal with. I want to know what takes up your money. We are being honest about ourselves when we do this budget, so that we can, because how can you cut out? How can you stop things if you don't know what you're doing? Okay. And so y'all about to have me go into a whole spill about this. You're about to get me on my soapbox talking about this budget when this is for next week. So thank you for joining me. I hope you have a wonderful evening. And this has been Tax Talk with Jay. Take care.